Summer routines live or die by how easy they are, and honestly, if something takes too much effort, I'm out. That's why Groons is my go-to. It's my one daily pack of gummies covering my greens, vitamins, and minerals. Plus, it has 6 grams of prebiotic fiber, which is more than 2 cups of broccoli. No mixing powders, no giant pills, no hassle. I just rip open the pack and I'm done. They taste good and they make it easy to stay on top of my health, even when life gets busy. Save up to 52% with the code PODCAST at Groons.co. That's code PODCAST at GRUNS.co.
From the kids to Aunt Sue. Keep your whole family connected on all their devices with crowd-pleasing gig-speed internet from Xfinity. Now that's simple, easy, awesome. Go online, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit today. Restrictions apply. Actual speed vary and not guaranteed.
Welcome back to TalkNorth.com. Thank you for listening. If you can, please download before you listen. It helps our business. I'd also like to thank our producer, Brandon Morton, and let you know if you'd like to sponsor this program or any of the programs on the network, you can reach me at jsouhan47@gmail.com. Welcome back to Dulono's in downtown Minneapolis. This is the Russo-Souhan Show. I'm here with my favorite hypochondriac, who is under the weather again. I know everybody's going to be shocked by that. What is it this time, Michael?
I'm fine. Just saying, my head hurts. I spent all day at Starbucks drinking coffee. This is what you get for it. So.
Have you taken anything for your ailments?
A couple ibuprofen.
We always talk about
some caffeine.
We always talk about the fact that a coffee company should really sponsor this podcast, but yes. I really think like a CVS or something might be right down up our alley.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And maybe you can even rent a room there.
Pharmaceutical company.
Yes. This is the Russo-Souhan Show. He's Michael Russo. I'm Jim Souhan. He works for The Athletic. I work for the Star Tribune. We are live at Dulono's, downtown Minneapolis, right by all the parking and walking distance to everything you would ever want to do in downtown Minneapolis. The official address, 118 North 4th Street, 612-767-9494. You can order online. You can order by calling. They have a huge delivery area that they map out on the website, Dulono'sPizza.com. Happy hours, late night. They're open till 3 a.m. Great lunch specials with fried chicken now. Check out Dulono's Pizza.
Look at that pizza that Chris got there. Holy moly.
Chris got a good pizza. My wife's about to order. Vicky and Clyde are trying it. They try out something different every time, I think.
Taco salad for Vicky.
Salad and sandwiches.
Quesadillas.
I love I have dietary restrictions, so I love the fact they have gluten-free pizza here. It's fantastic. It's my favorite pizza in town. All right. Let's start with the Koivu news, as big a bummer as it is. Just tell me about it.
Well, just a bad break for the Wild and for Mikko, who turns 36 next month and was on pace to hit 1,000 games with 2 games left this season, and tears his right ACL and his meniscus, and that's usually a 6 to 8 month recovery at a minimum. I mean, we saw that Luke Cunnin, who is a lot younger than him, although the injury happened about 3 weeks later and they put off his surgery for a while. He had that last year, and they kept him out of training camp and things like that. So we'll see what happens with Mikko. But it's a huge for a team that's trying to make the playoffs to lose their shutdown center. I wrote about it in the story, but I mean, just coincidentally, when he sprained his left MCL in December. It happened right before they played Edmonton. They play Edmonton on Thursday. In that game, the Wild were clobbered 7-2. It was a second of a back-to-back, but Connor McDavid had 4 points. And the point of me writing that was the fact that he is your matchup guy that goes against the top centers in the NHL, and especially in this conference. And right now down the stretch, it's who takes that role. Right now, it's going to have to be Coyle playing the middle. This is time for Eriksson Ek to step up. He's coming back. They're going to have to. It's up to Boudreau, whose job is absolutely on the line after the season, to feel comfortable enough to give him ice time. And it's up to Eriksson Ek to finally show what he's made of. And if he doesn't, then it's time maybe to move on from him. But this is kind of put up or shut up time. for them. But suddenly, if you don't have Coyle up the middle, you're talking about Stahl, who's potentially on the trading block, Victor Rask, who we've already seen is not the fleetest of foot, Eriksson Ek and Eric Ferrer. That doesn't give you a lot of hope that this team can go on a long playoff run, let alone maybe make the playoffs. So this is going to be kind of interesting to see how the team handles this, and then potentially over these next 10 games before the trade deadline, how Paul Fenton reacts to this. If he thinks that this team can't go on a long playoff run even if they make the playoffs, does he start selling off assets? We'll see.
I just noticed, by the way, Michael, somebody put something down next to me as we started the show, and I was reading off my screen. I didn't notice. One of the fine workers here at Dulono's dropped you off a 18-gallon tub of aspirin, and I think they're suggesting you take all of them.
Nice, yeah.
They take care of you here.
Yeah.
Thank you to Dulono's and our other sponsors, Twill in the Dining Galleria, Fixology Repair, Mall of America, and Downtown in the Skyway. Tony Hoaglund, your State Farm agent in Champlin. Also, check out SodaStick.com for their basketball and hockey stuff. SodaStick sponsors the basketball show on this network with Michael's colleague, John Krasinski. Thanks to our producer, Brandon Morton. Please download before you listen. Follow us at Talk North Pod on Twitter. And if you'd like to advertise with us, you can reach us at talknorthpodcast@gmail.com. Also, we have a mic here for live questions. You know how it works. Come up at any time. I also know the roads are really bad tonight, so thank you for risking your lives to come out tonight. We do appreciate it. I know that I had trouble getting here, and I live about 5 minutes away. So what are the dominoes that fall because of the Mikko injury? What else are you going to be looking at with this team?
Well, I think off the hop here, Charlie Coyle will stay at center with probably Cunnin and Parise. I think Zach Parise would have an absolute heart attack if tomorrow night against Edmonton he's starting off playing with Rask or Eriksson Ek. I think he wants to play with Charlie right now, and he played great with Charlie
really
before.
Yesterday, yeah.
They were on the end at the end of that run. Cunnin and Parise were absolutely Coyle, Parise, and Cunnin were absolutely a defensive liability. Though they were on the ice for like 11 goals in like a 4-game stretch or something. So they've got to play both ends of the ice and not get completely greedy when it comes to creating offense and things like that. To me, for the Wild right now, it's just how does Eriksson Ek play? Does Victor Rask improve his game? I thought he was absolutely awful against Buffalo. I mean, in every way. And this is coming off an okay game. The night before or the game before when he scored the tying goal with 3 minutes left in that game. So they need him to play better. And this is why you got him. So let's see if he can step up as well. But this is obviously a huge blow, and you just got to wonder how far you can go in the playoffs if you don't have centers that could check the other team's centers. I mean, if you're going up against a Winnipeg in the first round or Nashville in the first round, you need a shutdown guy. And Mikko is that for the Wild, and just look at the stats over the years and what he does to opposing centers in terms of creating chances against him when he is on the ice, and he does his job in that facet. I know it's hard for some Wild fans to accept that, but the stats don't lie, and he's long been that guy for the Wild. And 2 years ago was a Selke contender, so they absolutely need somebody to step up now. But again, in terms of the actual dominoes, if over these next 10 games they do fall apart, or Paul Fenton just looks at this team and says, you know what, we're either not going to make it or there's just no way we're going to go on a run, then all of a sudden he might make hard decisions. And he is absolutely considering what to do with this roster if he breaks it down. And I do think that with Jason Zucker's modified no trade clause coming into effect July 1, I think he would consider that at some point, whether it's now or this summer. And Mikhail Granlund, who is a year from needing to be re-signed, who is going to want significant money, they have a major long-term decision to make there, and I absolutely, as I wrote a couple weeks ago, have been told by multiple people in this league that he can be had for the right assets right now, which means that at a minimum he's listening to people or talking to people about it, and I do think that he's talked to a number of teams about a number of players. I do know one player that he has talked to, according to multiple sources, is Nashville, about Kevin Fiala. I am not the biggest Fiala guy, especially in the last couple of years since he broke his femur. But again, Paul Fenton knows him better than anybody. And would he make a significant move there? We'll see here. This next 10 games will absolutely be interesting to watch.
Again, come up anytime you want and ask live questions. I want to thank Twill in the Edina Galleria, twillmn.com. Bought this shirt at Twill. I bought a lot of stuff there lately. Great place to shop, very friendly. Check it out, twillmn.com. And here comes Vicky with Philip Kallenberg's question of the week. But first, let's say thanks to Twill.
Jim usually doesn't like to shop for clothes. I don't like it when he shops for clothes either, because he used to buy stuff I'd want to throw out. That's why I'm so glad he's found Twill in the Edina Galleria. He likes shopping there because of the comfortable environment and the friendly staff. He finds clothes that actually fit him properly and are high-quality brands that will look great for years, whether he's golfing or working. Our favorites so far are Peter Millar, Johnny O, and Barber. We spend our money at Twill because we love the clothes and we love the no-pressure shopping. Drop by Twill in the Edina Galleria for the best shopping experience and best clothes you'll find in the Twin Cities.
All right, Vicky, take it away.
Boy, you don't even wait this week, Clyde.
No, I wanted to get going with this because I agree
She's
with
fired
Philip
up.
on this.
Yeah.
Okay, and you need to listen. Do you have a sense that there is a concern over a disconnect between Boudreau and Fenton? Last week, you quoted Bruce as preferring 8D for practice, and then Fenton sends Prosser down. On Monday, you quoted Bruce saying we're a team that could use as much speed as we can get, but Fenton sent Brown down, who was picked up in part because he added some speed to the lineup.
Well, first of all,
you know what 2 words should never be included on a text question? Page 2.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, Bruce, if that's the way it was construed, that he thinks that 8D is good for, what he was saying was that having 8D is not good. He was never saying he wants 8D for practice. He was saying it's only good for practice and it absolutely stinks for games. So that's that. But in terms of the disconnect here, there's no doubt that Bruce has probably not loved these defenseman moves. It leads to him having to scratch Sealer yesterday, which is absolutely ridiculous that he felt that he had to do that. And Hunt on the right side, I just don't love him there. And so far he hasn't had the desired effect on the power play, although that's hardly his fault. There's been a lot of issues on the power play there. In terms of the Rask move, I mean, I know that I will say there were a couple reasons. When he said yesterday that Victor Rask started the shootout for a reason and wouldn't describe the reason, there were a couple reasons. I wouldn't shock me. I haven't talked to Bruce about this, but it wouldn't shock me if it was like, all right, you wanted this guy, let's see what he can do type thing. I don't think it was a big FU to Fenton by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, Bruce didn't know that he was going to go out there and lose the puck on the shootout attempt. But I will say, I talked to a player today, and I asked him, what did you think about Rask going? And he told me that on the bench, it sounded like Bruce wanted to go with Coyle, and then one of the assistants piped up. And remember, Bruce doesn't go on the ice at optional morning skates. One of the assistants piped up and said, "Hey, we did a shootout attempt breakaway drill this morning, and Rask was 4 for 4." And that's when Bruce changed his mind and went with that. So that might have been also specifically what Bruce meant by said there was a reason, but he maybe didn't want to throw an assistant under the bus. So this is what a player told me today. When I talked to him earlier in the afternoon, which I didn't go to the game in Buffalo. Chad Graff covered it yesterday, so and frankly, I don't know if we would have seen that breakaway drill to even know it, because normally the way it works at an optional skate is you get Bruce kind of in the middle of while these guys are on the ice, so we probably wouldn't have even seen that. So, but look, I don't think that Bruce. I don't think management was overly in love with Nino at the end here, particularly his contract. I don't think Bruce felt that he could play the right wing, and I know that he felt that Parise, Zucker, and Greenway were ahead of Nino on the depth chart, so that's why the trade was made. But as we've mentioned over and over and over again, it doesn't mean that you have to trade him for Victor Rask. And Rask has not been good. And I know that it's become fashionable now, especially on The Athletic, to sit there and say that he's kind of my whipping boy and things like that. But we all watch the sport. Just watch him play. He's at times unwatchable. I mean, here, you know what? I shouldn't.
Thank you, Philip Kallenberg, for getting him fired up. Yeah. Keep going, Michael. Keep going, man.
Here's something that the News and Observer happened to write earlier this year. This is Luke DeCock wrote this earlier this season. It was a screen capture sent to me yesterday, or about 5 days ago. This is earlier this season. Okay, if new owner Tom Dundon Dundon, I think that's how you pronounce it, wants to win over fans, he ought to be handing out $5 bills at the end of every flaccid Victor Rask shift in apology. And there are only 4 more years to run on the long-term contract Francis gave Rask for apparently no reason. So it's not just me that sees this, okay? That's just a reality. And last night, optically, just look at the last shift of the second period. Watch that shift alone and watch just Victor out there. And then the one shift that bothers me still is like, look, I get it. That shift that on the second goal was a collective mess up by a lot of different people. Patterin is the one that left his position to, I don't know if he thought he was covering for Bitetto or what, but the fact that Rask saw this and decided to direct traffic rather than doing what has been long his MO and not working hard, and instead of actually skating hard and trying to cover for Patterin, who he's staring is not seeing the guy go to the net, he decides to sit there and point, and that was a huge point in the game. And to me, again, optically, even though it was 2 other guys that messed up on that shift, in Bitetto and especially Patterin, it doesn't look good when Rask just clearly on that video is just deciding, I'm not going to go skate to the guy, you go get him, when he witnessed the breakdown to begin with. And that's his guy. So that's an issue there. So, and my point is that Bruce sees all this stuff. So in terms of a disconnect or things like that, I just think that Bruce is, whether again it's an open quarrel or something with Paul Fenton, I don't know if that's fair to say, but clearly he sees this.
So we have heard Michael Russo use the words flaccid and optically on this podcast. I think we're done for the night. We're going to wrap up. Thanks for coming out. Appreciate it. No, I think he gets to page 2 of Philip's questions. I do want to thank John Hedges and Fixology Repair. John is here again tonight. He's been a really loyal both listener and sponsor. He runs Fixology Repair, fixologyrepair.com. Located in the Mall of America, 3rd floor by Nordstrom's, also downtown in the Skyway, just south of the Wells Fargo Center, across from the Dunn Brothers, across from Taco John's. I know I walk by there all the time, and I went there recently to get some tablets fixed. They handle sizing, soldering, they work quickly. John should get up here and do this himself, I think, really. But they also have...
He's got a gigantic sandwich in his mouth
yes,
right now.
Yes, he does. But if you go to fixologyrepair.com, you'll find a lot of really good deals on great watches. So that they can sell you a watch, they can fix a watch, they can fix a tablet, Apple products, whatever. Check them out, fixologyrepair.com.
There are some things in life that you just can't live without. Now, whether it's a special piece of jewelry, a watch, or even your smartphone, you want it in working condition. At Fixology Repair, we are committed to restoring your pieces so that everything works or fits the way it ought to. Watch servicing, chain repair, and broken screen replacements are just a few of the services that we offer at our 2 locations, Mall of America and the Skyway in downtown Minneapolis. Please visit us at fixologyrepair.com or at FixologyMN on Twitter to learn more. Mention this ad and get a 10% discount on our services.
Well, now that we know that we are questioning picking Rask, here's Philip's second backup question.
Page 2.
Why did it take Fenton so long to, quote, get to know the team and get a sense of what we have? Shouldn't a guy who's been scouting every player for every team for nearly 20 years already have a sense for 90% of the players in the league? I get that you don't know them as humans, but the on-ice product is right there for all to see.
Well, I mean, I could go on and on about that forever, but he tried to make moves before July 1. He didn't make the moves that he tried to make before July 1. So once you get past July 1, it's hard to make trades. This is not a Fenton thing or that's the way the league works. And then to start the season, you're watching your team. And I'm sorry, he's a new GM. He's got to make major decisions. And trust me, I've not been fond of most of the moves that he's made here the last month. But to sit there and expect him in the middle of October and November to make big trades, I think that's just unrealistic. He came into a situation that's pretty untenable. He's got no prospects, 0 in the entire organization right now. You hope that the Connor Dewars and those guys become something, but right now, I mean, Kaprizov's a ghost. Technically, in my opinion, Eriksson at Greenway and Cunnin are not quote unquote prospects anymore. So right now he's in a position where He doesn't want to trade draft picks. He doesn't want to trade prospects. And all his core players that you'd have to make significant long-term decisions on are on super expensive deals. And that stuff usually happens in the offseason. In the middle of the season, he happened to find somebody to take Nino. The problem is that he was getting somebody back that they have been trying. Trust me when I say that the Carolina Hurricanes front office that day could not even believe that they were able to make this deal. That's how hard they have been trying to trade Victor Rask. And so they finally, both sides, management here, especially probably the new management, Jack Ferrara, Paul Fenton, and Tommy Curvers, probably were very excited to get out on this contract on what at the time was a fourth-line left wing, making $5.25 million with 4 years left on his deal. They saved some money in the process, but the problem is that you still have to look in a faster league that you just traded for a slower guy. And a guy that sometimes work ethic wise, he's a very smart player. I mean, I see that. He makes very smart decisions on the ice, but the problem is that his warts are a problem on a team like this that has a lot of other warts with it and needed to get faster. So we'll see if anything else. To me, another issue are adding back-to-back number 7-8 defensemen, and then what you do is that to make those two moves, your answer to that was to get rid of Nate Prosser, your only right shot guy. So then what happens is now you put the coach in a position where you're playing a left shot Brad Hunt on the right side, who only played 9 or 10 games on the right side all the last couple of years. And now because the GM wants him to play Boteto, well, he doesn't want to then put Boteto on the right side, so he takes out Nick Seeler, which I'm sorry is just not the right move in a game, especially. Even if Bruce was making that decision yesterday, the second he found out Eric Fair was sick, I would have changed that decision and just said to Paul, hey, sorry. Paul wasn't with the team yesterday. He was still in Boston. But I would have said, sorry, you know what, we're going to wait till the home game to play Boteto. Maybe I'll take out Nick here, but right now we're already without a penalty killer. And then it became a bigger issue when Mikko went down. So now you're without Fair, without Mikko, and you're without a shot-blocking maniac like Nick Seeler. And then what happens is you give up 2 power play goals in the game. So I just don't like that these moves have now put the coach in a position where he's got to play the guys that the GM wants to play. Here's a good example, is that Eriksson Ek comes back up. Well, you know that Bruce deep down wants to throw probably Rask on the fourth line. Well, you can't, he's not, you just traded Nino Niederreiter for him. The GM wants him to play. So now what do you do with Eriksson Ek? Well, if Eriksson Ek's on the fourth line, then again, how does he step up in the right position? So maybe you got to throw him a bone tomorrow and put him on the power play. We'll see. But for a team that won 3 in a row and 4 out of 5, the Boteto pickup in particular was very weird to me. Because all of a sudden what it meant is you had to come back from the break with things going well, and you had to, and that had a domino effect on every lineup decision that Bruce made from then on out. And now they haven't won since the break's over. And I'm not saying it was because they added Anthony Boteto, but what it's done is it caused them to not be able to bring back Eriksson Ek and Cunnin when the team was on a roll. And there just comes a point where as a GM, you got to take a step back and say the timing's not right. Or as a GM, you might say, you know what, I love Anthony Boteto because I know him from Nashville, but sorry, I made a trade yesterday for Brad Hunt. But what he did is that he's like, oh my God, I can get Boteto too. And then he adds Boteto, and now all of a sudden they have 8 defensemen, 2 left shot. That is not what they needed, and it costs you to throw away Prosser, and it forces Boudreau to make lineup decisions now that just to me made no sense.
Well, it's interesting that you brought up Eriksson Ek, because our friend Allison wants me to ask you why Ek won't get a shot at the second line to give him the opportunity to play with better players to see if he has a chance or not to be effective.
One, again, I don't want to put words into Zach Parise's mouth, but Zach doesn't deserve that. Zach needs to play right now with Coyle and Cunnin. And Eriksson Ek, quite frankly, has done nothing to show that he deserves that yet. Now, I'm not saying that he eventually doesn't deserve that, but to me, to just slot him into Koivu's spot tomorrow, I just think would be a bad message to the team as well. Coyle should play center tomorrow. Stahl should be the number 1 center tomorrow. Rask should be the 3rd center tomorrow. I would put Eriksson Ek on 3rd line right wing tomorrow and play Fair, if he could play, Fair at 4th line center. If Fair can't play, then we'll see what Bruce does with Rask and Eriksson Ek. If the management wants Eriksson Ek getting top 9 minutes, well, then Paul Fenton needs to accept that Victor Rask then is the fourth-line center on this team, at least temporarily. But to me, it's got to be earned. Joel Eriksson Ek has had enough anointed in his career already by this organization. He was given a spot 2 years in a row for absolutely no reason and put the team in a tough position. They didn't go out and try to get better because he was just given opportunities. Well, now that Mikko's out, he shouldn't just be given Mikko's job. I would give him ice time. I would maybe even throw him on some power play special teams for the first time in his career. But he's got to earn his way up, not only just for him having to earn it, but his teammates need to see that he deserves that extra ice time.
I agree.
Yep.
It's going to be a rough 7 weeks.
It's going to be a rough 7 weeks, potentially.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks,
So-
Mike.
Vicky, you're a better guest host than LaPanta. Nice job.
Better hair, too.
Better and much better hair. No doubt about that. That didn't need to be mentioned. That's why I didn't mention it. We are here.
My barber today, hairstylist today, I go to her at one point. I go, by the way, how's the bald spot? She goes, it's fine. I said, you don't need to lie.
She didn't even try to say, "Oh, it's not too bad."
No,
or
she goes, "It's
fine.
fine."
It's nice and big.
Yeah.
It's rosy.
So-
How are you, dear? Good to see you. Thanks for coming out.
What's up?
Do you have a question for us? Our friend MJ, also known as Mary, is
Yes.
here.
What's up?
I'm Mary.
Hey,
And-
Mary.
Yeah. And I was wondering, changed my question, as listening to you talk, what is a team that has management that you admire and have a deep, farm system, and they're mixing their veterans and their younger people, changing up, their...
Yeah, I mean,
Thank you, dear. Appreciate it.
That's
if you need a hat or a T-shirt,
That's
grab
a
one.
loaded question
Or
because
both.
everything's always cyclical. But I mean, I love what Winnipeg is doing right now. I love what Calgary is doing right now. Toronto, obviously, but there's a reason why they're as good as they are. But they've got a bunch of people coming. I love what Ray Shiro's doing right now. I think a lot of people this is in New Jersey. I think a lot of people thought they'd be a lot better than they'd be this year. But I mean, to parlay Brian Boyle into a second-round pick, pretty good trade getting ahead of that. I mean, that's insane to me that Nashville gave up that much. I think Nashville got worse today, adding Boyle and McLeod. I just and right now it's the Wild. If they keep on pace, there's a chance they play Nashville in the first round. And we all know that Pekka Rinne in Minnesota is not the Pekka Rinne that plays the Wild in Nashville. I mean, he gives up 5 goals a game, it seems, every time he plays the Wild here. So I think they're beatable. But that's what I say. I'll be interested to see how Jarmo Kekalainen in Columbus handles this whole Panarin and Bobrovsky situation. I will say that I do think that the two of them have aligned. They left Minnesota on a private jet after the All-Star game and went down to Florida because that's where they love to be. It would not shock me if they're looking to play there. The one thing that Florida will have to do if they're going to sign both of them this offseason is figure out what to do with Roberto Luongo. I'll be interested to see what happens with Ottawa and the whole Mark Stone, Matt Duchene situation. Philadelphia is another one. I've talked to some sources today about what's going on with Wayne Simmons, and it is pretty ironic that Chuck Fletcher, after years of trying to acquire him here, might have to trade him. But right now, the asset potential for trading Simmons is pretty high. You could actually go after him again in the offseason if he wants to come back. I think that the team that the bad news for the Wild is the team that acquires Simmons is probably going to be in the Western Conference. San Jose is looking at him. Winnipeg's looking at him. Vegas is looking at him. Calgary's looking at him. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. There's so many below the Wild right now. Every team's in the same boat in huge losing streaks. Anaheim's absolutely in the tank. Colorado's been atrocious. Suddenly St. Louis and Chicago are teams to worry about behind the Wild. Dallas is on fire right now. So Vancouver's an interesting team right now. So every team's sort of, we get so focused on the Wild and maybe if we, whether you think they're mismanaged or not, but if you look around the league, there's a lot of teams. Nobody's perfect right now. Very few teams are. So
Good
to answer one thing, I love Jim Rutherford in Pittsburgh. I mean, to answer your question back, I mean, that guy gets out in front and makes big trades. I'm not saying that I absolutely love the Bukestad trade, but he traded a couple guys that he didn't want back, and he was able to get a future asset, and maybe Bukestad becomes the player that we all thought he'd be years ago when he was drafted. She's doing well. Thanks for asking.
Mary just asked about mom. How are the mom texts going? Thank you,
Mom's
Mary.
good.
Appreciate it.
I was down in Atlanta over the bye week, and it was great seeing her. She's a trooper, man. She's dealing with an unbelievably difficult and painful surgery, and she's been awesome with it. So, and it was cool to see my nephews and brother and everything.
We didn't get to see each other in Atlanta.
And sister-in-law. Yeah, I know.
But
it's funny. I land. The first thing I see is the New England Patriots bus being police escorted back to Buckhead. So that was kind of funny. And then I went to this awesome place in Midtown Atlanta. This cool market of just a ton of different indoor markets, and Saquon Barkley was there, and my nephews are huge Giants fans because my brother's a Giants fan, and Saquon Barkley couldn't not have been classier. They bought them cookie dough and took pictures with them and videos and all that. He was there doing a Visa commercial.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Good deal. So thank Barbara. We hope you're doing okay. Glad Michael got to get down and see you. Let's take a quick break. Thank Tony Hoaglund, your State Farm agent in Champlin. He handles my insurance. He handles Michael's insurance. He also now offers financial services, and we've been working with Tony for years, so he's certainly someone you can trust with your money or your insurance. You can reach him at 763-421-4900. You can work with him via app, phone, through his assistants, through him himself. He makes it all very easy.
Hey, Minnesota sports fans. This is your local State Farm agent, Tony Hoaglund. I need you all to ask yourselves this question. If you're in an at-fault car accident and you are sued for $700,000, how much of that $700,000 will my current insurance company pay? If you are unsure or can't answer all $700,000, you need to give us a call. State Farm has been #1 in car insurance since World War II and #1 in homeowners insurance since 1964. For a no-obligation review of your current policies, call us at 763-421-4900 or check out our website at www.champlininsurance.com.
So you send Chad Graff to Buffalo.
Yeah.
Remind me never to work for you.
Chad's best friend is the video coach for the Sabres, so he asked for that a long time ago. I think he thought he was going to be able to watch the Super Bowl with them, but I think the Sabres had a Super Bowl party, so poor Chad went to Buffalo early. But I would have loved to have given that game even if he didn't ask for it.
Yeah.
So yeah. What's up, David?
Hi, David.
Hey, how's it going?
Yep.
So who do you think the most available center or forward is for the Wild that they could obtain with what we currently have? I know they're going to have to make a hockey trade, in quotes, there with something who...
Well, I mean, Matt Duchene's out there, but you'd have to give up an unbelievable amount of stuff for him. And you don't know if you're going to be able to re-sign him or even if you want to. This is all rentals. I mean, what I think that he would like to do is make an actual hockey trade if he's going to add a significant piece back with term and things like that. Derek Brassard, I think, will probably still be flipped from Florida after being acquired by him. But, I mean, what's that going to do for the Wild? There just isn't a lot out there suddenly. I was looking at the list of rentals today, and the best ones right now are guys like Stone, who, a right shot, right wing would make a lot of sense if you can get him to resign. Stahl, Simmons, but Simmons again isn't a center. Marcus Johansson, he's not a center. Zuccarello's not a center. Hayes technically is not. I don't think he's. He can play either, I guess, but I don't know. I just don't know if rentals are what you're going to want to do right now without Mikko. If you don't think that if you got to give up a significant asset for a rental and you don't think that's going to do enough for you anyway, then they might have to change tack. So I do think that Paul's going to just watch the way that they're playing the next 2.5 weeks and let the team decide what his next approach are. But if you're going the rental market, there's just not a lot out there right now other than the big guys like Panarin, Bobrovsky, Stone, Duchene, Simmons, those guys. And Duchene's the only one there that would be a center. So.
And then second question, Were you surprised that Prosser actually cleared waivers?
Yeah, I thought that he would get taken. The night before, I thought Edmonton was interested. I was told that morning from a source there that they had no interest. And I thought that maybe Chuck would go add some depth, especially because Folan has not been happy with his role and hasn't played well there. But I think maybe Chuck's been there, done that. So I just thought a veteran right defenseman would get picked up. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know if Nate Prosser's totally done here. I do think that, first of all, injuries are inevitable, it seems. And I would think that if they need a right defenseman, that he would be the first call-up before Louis Belpedio, in my opinion. So,
good questions. Thank you, David. Appreciate it. We had a Twitter question. Kevin Luckow said, in keeping with the theme of this week, can you have Russo tell any stories of weather-related misadventures as far as getting to the arena or catching a flight after the game? I'm sure he has growing up in New York with the famous 3-3-4 game went down between the Devils and the Flames. And by the way, the weather has been so bad here lately that Chris Hines, who came here after being a hockey writer in Chicago, is complaining about the weather.
Yeah. Well, he's also got a park on the street where he lives, so that would be a problem.
Yeah.
You probably know that, right, Brandon? I mean, it's if you don't have underground parking right now, oh my Lord, or a garage. Weather-related issues. I mean, obviously the one here that everybody remembers is last year against Ottawa in January, where all the players had trouble getting to the rink, and Tyler Ennis smashed into the back of Matt Dumba's car on the way to the rink. They were abandoning cars, and valets were being shuttled to the cars to bring them to the arena, and guys were showing up just at warm-ups, things like that. In fact, tomorrow, I think with the weather is bad, I think the players are getting day rooms downtown St. Paul, so they don't have to deal with that. For me personally, there are a couple do hop in mind. I just remember my first time I was flying from Ottawa to Boston, and I just remember getting on a prop plane in the middle of a blizzard in Ottawa at 6 a.m., and I turned to David J. Neal to the right of me, and I said, boy, this really isn't as glamorous a job as I thought it was. And he's like, yeah, exactly. People don't see this part of the job when you're on a 6 a.m. prop from Ottawa to Boston. David and I, two other actually weather-related. Once we were flying from Washington to Raleigh on a U.S. Air flight, and we hit a wind shear going up, and the right wing dipped so low that we almost hit the right wing almost hit the runway, and that was absolutely scary. And then another one, I was flying from Buffalo to LaGuardia with David J. Neal, and where I got nervous was when I looked at him and he was praying. But we were hit by lightning over New York City, and we were the last flight leaving Buffalo because of a snowstorm, and the last flight into LaGuardia because of a rainstorm. We were over apparently 80-mile-per-hour winds or something over Manhattan. It was so frightening. There were fire engines when we landed. I was so emotionally exhausted that I got to my hotel room that morning. And I went standby on that flight too. I got because I wanted to spend the day in Manhattan. I showed up at my hotel at 8:30 in the morning, and I fell asleep on the bed, and I didn't wake up till 4 p.m. It was that frightening. Another one was I was flying from Ottawa, theme with Ottawa to Edmonton. It was the day that Cam Stewart was knocked out from Kevin Dineen's elbow, and Brett Hedican broke the finger of Daniel Alfredson with a slash, and I landed in Edmonton, and I found out that Hedican was suspended, and so I had to go write the story, and I rented a car, and right when you leave the Edmonton airport, I'm getting on the kind of the turnaround to get onto the highway to get into downtown Edmonton. For that 30-minute drive, and I hit some black ice and wound up in the middle of the embankment. And I still, to this day, I hit my head on the window, and I'm stuck in snow. And I still, to this day, wish I could thank the people. But I'm about to get out of the car. Next thing I know, I feel my car moving, and it's being pushed out by some good Samaritans right back onto the road. And I was driving this Chevy Malibu, and the tires are spinning. And I just remember thinking to myself, you know what, I better not stop, or I'm never going to keep on going. So I never said thank you or goodbye or anything. I just continued going. And I get to the hotel at the Westin in downtown Edmonton. And the first person I run into the lobby is Stan Wong. And I told him, hey, I was just hit my head on the window. And Stan Wong, who to this day is still the USA medical trainer, He basically looked after me and made sure that I kind of didn't fall asleep that night because of the concussion at that point. So it was pretty funny.
So I'm in Philadelphia covering the Vikings. They're going to play a Sunday night game against the Eagles, right? Massive snowstorm comes in.
Yeah.
And teams fly on Saturday. So we flew on Saturday. So everybody's in Philadelphia by mid-afternoon Saturday for a Sunday night game. It gets postponed till Tuesday. This is like 2013 or something. And so, there's like one restaurant open in downtown Philadelphia, and it's the what are they called? The Capitol Grill. So like the bills we ran up were incredible. And I had somebody tell me, I won't mention the names of the players, but a bunch of Vikings players are up, and one of them's a veteran enough player to have like kind of a suite in the Philadelphia Marriott. And Vikings official comes in and says, okay, no game tonight, no game Monday, right? We're not doing anything till game time on Tuesday. And a veteran player looks and said, are you sure? And the official says, yeah. He says, and the player says, I need like written confirmation. I need something I can, prove that I was told that we're not playing until Tuesday. And this guy like sent him an email or something like that. He looks on the phone. And he said, okay, sign up one of the clubbies. We're ordering about $5,000 worth of booze right now. And I think they just drank for 2 days.
I remember I was walking around the Stoneworks Bridge once, and I got a text message from a player that said, hey, you know what? He might have been here. He goes, hey, I'm with this guy. We want to know if we're playing tonight because we're about to have we're out to lunch and we're basically gonna have pizza. And I said, no, both of you are scratched. And anyway, we get to the game and somebody was sick, and one of those two players wound up having to play, and he wound up scoring the game-winning goal that night. And so we go and interview him after the game, and as we're done with the scrum, he grabs me. He goes, hey, my new pregame meal is now gonna be pizza because of you. He goes, how did you get that so wrong? I'm like, I didn't know that guy was sick. Like, Jacques should have told you. So
I have a baseball story like that, only it didn't end as well. So I'll tell you it off the air sometime. I think I might have ended somebody's career. Let's go to some more Twitter questions. Once again, we're at Dulono's Pizza, downtown Minneapolis.
But just real quick, just another story just popped in my head. Like the Jacques regime with communication to players was always just hilariously bad. Like they just didn't communicate. And I remember once we're in Edmonton and I'm interviewing right before, it's a second of a back-to-back, and I'm interviewing Curtis Foster before the game. And we're talking to him, and I'm interviewing him, and it becomes clear that he thinks he's playing in a couple hours. And I go, are you sure you're playing tonight? And he goes, yeah, that's what they told me I'm playing. I said, well, Mario's walking away with Mario Tremblay. He's walking away with your jersey right now. And he turns around and he goes, hold on for a second. He goes back into the room. He goes into the coach's office. He comes out, and 2 minutes later he goes, yeah, I'm scratched tonight. So, this is funny. Anyway.
So again, we're at Dulono's Pizza, downtown Minneapolis. Walking distance to all the sports venues and the music venues, right next to Ramp C, right next to its own parking lot and street parking. They have full bar, craft cocktails, craft beers, big screen TVs, only about 7 of them or something. They got bubble hockey, they got the jukebox, they got everything you would want, and great food. My wife is dining right now, and I'm a little jealous. So we definitely recommend coming down or ordering online or calling Dulono's Pizza, Dulono'sPizza.com. Check it out. Let's do a little.
I just thought of another.
Okay,
actually, 2 others. So I was flying from Philadelphia. I don't know how I remember always the cities, but I was flying from Philadelphia to Florida once on a second of a back-to-back while Panthers played in Philly and home the next night against Montreal. And we had one of those. I had it the other day here in Minnesota, where all of a sudden you're landing and like you're about 1,000, not even, you're about 400 feet off the ground, and then you take off again because freaking plane. In this case, the other day, plane went right in front of the. Right in front of our plane as we were landing, so we had to take off again. But this time, it was horrible fog in Atlanta, and so we land, and all of a sudden, about 500 feet off the ground, we take off, we land, we take off, and finally the pilot comes on, he goes, we're going to have to get diverted to Montgomery. And so we land in Montgomery, get refueled there, land in Atlanta, connect, and I got to the game about 30 minutes before the game started. Another one, Edmonton to Vancouver, one of my first years here in Minnesota, I had like a 10-hour delay. There's a picture on my Facebook of it. A 10-hour delay of me in Edmonton, and I got to the game in the first period. That's the only time I've ever been late to a game. Another one was with it was flying to Montreal here, and Pat, I think it's Pat, who always comes to our show. He was just coincidentally sitting next to me on the plane. The first time I ever met him. And we had a horrible incident getting into Montreal where both he and I honestly thought we were dead. I mean, we tried 3 different times to land, and finally the pilot essentially admitted that we're going to go for this time, and if we miss it this time, we're going to have to get diverted to like Binghamton or something because there's no way we're going to have fuel for another time. But it was the scariest flight I've ever had in my life. It was unbelievable how many times that if we were flying a regional jet, Northwest I think, still. And it was at night, couldn't see anything out the window, and the absolute, like he was completely out of control trying to land this plane, and he tried 2 or 3 different times, and it was, Pat and I think it's Pat, I'm sorry if it's like, I know he's probably listening right now, like, I can't believe you don't know me, but honestly, it was like bonding experience. Every time I see him ever since, even when he comes here, I just remember that. But I just remember, like, just imagine, like, you're just sitting there next to a Wild fan, and, like, it's like, all right, this is the way you wanted to go out, next to Mike Russo. Just can you imagine? It'd be awful. I had a friend once turn to me. We were driving in Vegas, and he turned to me and goes, "There's no doubt when I meet my demise, you're probably going to be 2 feet away from me." Like, it was just like we were flying. We were driving. It was me, my buddy David, who I'm going to see in New York this week, and this guy Eric. And I was driving, and Eric was in the passenger seat. We were driving to like the Grand Canyon or something, and that's what he said to me. It was just hilarious.
Then there's the Royce travel story. He was covering the Sun Bowl one year. He got delayed. He showed up like right as the ball's kicking off. He's showing up in the press box. He goes, "Damn it, got here too early."
Yeah.
From Mike Wasik on Twitter, if the Wild could have pulled it off, would Nino for Brian Boyle have been a good deal for the Wild? I guess you answered that. From Jordan Hess, seeing what Rask has provided thus far, as drawn out and painful as it would look on the ledger, will he be a buyout this summer?
I don't think that he would do that right away. Buyouts aren't really horribly expensive for him, although it lasts 6 years on the cap. But I think that you want to give him a chance back to get. It would just shock me. That would drive. I mean, could you imagine? I guess you get out of the $5.25 million, but that means you just gave away an asset. Nita Ryder, a 3-time 20-goal scorer for nobody. I mean, that to me, you got to at least bring him back for 1 year, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Our friend Barb Rule asked, you can't replace Mikko. Really don't get why Fenton had a D-man when it was clear they needed a center. Do you think Koivu's season-ending injury changes their focus?
Well, if Barb is talking about management, I think he still has to see what's going to happen here in the next week. I don't think that he's just going to start now sell. I think that he's going to have to. I think from that standpoint, nothing's changed here. He's going to have to see where this team is. They're still technically in a top wildcard spot because nobody wants to grab these playoff spots by the horn, so to speak. But they obviously haven't been impressive coming out of the gate, and that might be telling Paul at the end of the day that hey, this team's going nowhere anyway, and now we just lost Mikko. Maybe it's time to convince the owner that we need to retool and give away assets. But if he gives away assets, they need to be actual. Like I get tweets all the time. Like maybe he's really trying to tank here, and I'm like, you don't tank by adding a 3-year guy on Victor Rask at $4 million. Like maybe he's secretly trying to tank by adding inferior defensemen or something. But the Nino for Rask trade, then to me, you can't convince me that was part of breaking things down. That was not the right move then. I just think that if he's going to make these moves where he's going to trade significant core pieces for future pieces, they better be the right moves and not not Nino for Rask type trades. So
right. Oh, Chris, fire away.
Mike, you said you'd get rid of or reconfigure the roster. Can you say specifically who that would be?
Did I say that? I would say that I am very concerned about the way that Granlund's playing. And if he's going to really want $8.5 million, I would absolutely trade him at some point, whether that's now or this summer. Absolutely. What's tough about that is that Granlund still makes on a team that doesn't score a lot. I figured it out today. The Wild are 30th in the NHL in goal scoring since Matt Dumba's injury.
Wow.
Yeah, and they have a 13.8% power play since Matt Dumba's got hurt.
Wow.
So Matt Dumba was a pretty big piece of this team, but still, if you look at the amount of goals that the Wild scored since Matt Dumba's injury, 49, 20 of those have been assisted by, or not 20, I think 18 have been assisted by Granlund. So he still is the guy that gets other guys' goals, but the problem is that $8.5 million, that's a heck of a price to pay when you're looking at that Marner might just get $9 million in the next little while, and is Granlund even close to that type of player? Absolutely freaking not. So I mean, if he's going to want that, I'm sorry, you might have to make a very tough decision. I think it'd be worse if you gave him that money because he's just not that type of player. And then I think it'd be more dangerous, but Jason Zucker is just not having a good year. I mean, even again last night in Buffalo. That's where they need him to step up, and instead he's just not burying pucks or turning pucks over, and that line was very bad yesterday. So I would not trade Spurgeon. Right now I would not trade Brodin with the way that Suter is not the same player that he once was. But these are all decisions that he's going to have to make. If he starts trading those core pieces, then I think we do know where the season and the future is heading, and that Paul's going to want to start breaking down the roster. But Granlund, to me, is the biggest decision right now because he already makes $6.75 million, I think, in actual money next year, and so he's going to have to get a raise on that. And there just comes a peak amount of money that you can give him before it eventually becomes a huge burden where you can't move him lately. I mean, that's been the issue. I mean, the one reason why Nino was traded for Rask is because of that money that he earned. All of a sudden, he became very untradeable for this GM. And so all of a sudden, if you give now more players an exorbitant amount of money, they become they become almost untradeable as well. So
good question. Thank you. From Noobs on Twitter, think Coyle goes back to center. I get scared thinking about Stahl getting traded and Rask being the top center.
Well, it is funny. I mean, if they trade Stahl, then they are breaking it up. But right, because especially with Koivu out now, that puts him in a position where if you trade Stahl, holy mackerel, where's this season going and where's the future going? So we'll see here. If they trade Stahl, we know that they are absolutely selling at the deadline.
Mike Wasik asked any plans of doing Facebook Live of these shows in the future. Haven't really planned on it. It's a possibility, but I'm not sure we got a lot of benefit when we tried it the last time. So here's an interesting question from Mike Schneider. Does Fenton regret his decision to take the job?
I doubt it. I don't know. I mean, it's always a fun question. It's like I once recently asked Parisi and Suter if they regretted the decision coming here, and talk about a loaded question. But look, I mean, if Fenton wanted to do this job, he's gone for a gazillion jobs and he hasn't gotten it. So if he wanted to get his dream job, it had to be here. He was offered one. The timing was right. I don't think that he probably realized at the time how limited their asset pool was when it came to what has happened due to the fact that they've traded so many draft picks from here and obviously lost Huck in the expansion draft or in the trade to do with the expansion draft. So, now he's in a tough boat. I mean, there is no easy answers here. I don't envy him. How do you get this team on par with the top teams in the league? That's what I kind of meant last week when I said to Vicky that the rebuilds is not going to be simple, because even a rebuild here is just not, you can't even envision how to do it. And I'm not trying to depress Wild fans, but this is a tough situation. They're a middle of the road team right now, and if they don't sell a bunch of assets right now, then they're just going to continue to kind of spin their wheels until this offseason, because we know this team's not going anywhere. They're not. I hate to break it to you, they're not winning a cup. This is not going to be the year they're going to go on a long run, especially without Mikko and maybe even if Dumba comes back, not 100% Dumba. So if you don't break it up now, you're kind of delaying things. But even if you break it up now, what can you possibly do here at the deadline. I just don't think that right now, unless you're making a huge monster trade, which I don't know who's doing that, this is the time to even try to trade Granlund or Zucker. I think all that stuff is better to happen right before the draft. So again, we'll see. It's not an easy situation. It's not an easy to see situation on how you get the team to a point where it could kind of catapult and get on par with all these other teams that have a ton of prospects coming that we haven't even seen yet.
So when you ask Parise and Suter if they regret coming here, what do you think their answer would be if they were home alone, talking in a room where there were no microphones?
I don't know. I don't even want to guess. It's not fair.
Damn it. All right. Jake Griffiths and Skylar Vicious basically ask, is Mikko going to be back next season?
I think so. I mean, first of all, Wild fans better hope he's back next season, because if he's not, they have a full cap hit on him. He signed a 35-year-old over cap hit. So that means if he retires on his own volition or if he retires because of injury, the Wild get dinged for that 5.5. So at a minimum, he cannot retire. They cannot let him retire. Not that he would ever retire and not take that money. So at a minimum, what he might have to do is they start next season with him either on injured reserve or long-term injured reserve. The only reason why they would need to go on LTIR is if they needed his money to get cap relief. But then once you do that, once Mikko comes back, you have to get cap compliant again, if that all makes sense to you.
Brady Dornfeld from the back of Dulono's doesn't really want to come down here and talk to us in person because that's a little frightening sometimes. Asks, from the back of Dulono's, you mentioned either Granlund could be had. What happens to the power play if he's gone? Not that it can't get much worse, but without Granlund, it sure looks like it could be.
Yeah, but that's what I mean about how there's no easy answers here. It sounds simple for me to say, well, if he wants 8.5, you got to get rid of him. But then, all right, we got to think about what life would be like on this team without Granlund. And while 2 goals in 36 games absolutely sucks and is an absolute disgrace, if he's not on this team setting up goals for the other guys, because he is absolutely the best playmaker on the team. I mean, just look at those great plays that he made on the 2 5-on-3 goals in Denver. I mean, he's a special player from that standpoint. But he's at a price range right now where it's just scary to go above it. But if now he's not here, what do you do? So you're right. I mean, if all of a sudden he's not here, this is, again, what I mean by when I say if it's a painful thing to even understand where Fenton might have to take this team, this team right now, and attendance is a big issue. The owner, this is a bottom line world. I mean, look at Columbus right now. They're about to maybe get rid of Bobrovsky and Panarin, and they're already drawing. I saw a home game last week had 15,000 in that rink for a team that's in a playoff spot. So. That stuff's real. We could all sit there and roll our eyes and say that Craig Leopold needs to get on board with a rebuild, but it's his team. If you want it, buy it. He'll sell it to you. $400 million right now, yours. I bet. Maybe $450.
So you take checks? Does he take Venmo?
Yeah, he takes Venmo.
All right, I'm going to buy a team then.
What's the maximum that you could charge somebody on Venmo? Do you know? I think it's something like $50,000 or $100,000. But I last year I sent a request for that to Chad Graff. He denied it. I just thought it would be funny if he accidentally accepted it. What I would do to his bank account, because it's simple. I mean, you hit yes or no.
Tell you what, let's test it out. You send me $50,000. I'll see how the system works.
I paid for that because then what happened is that every time Chad would we would get he would be on the road for something when he was working for the Pioneer Press. He would even if I was home, he would send me a split request on Uber, and I accidentally accepted it once. So, and I wasn't even with them. Baloney.
Hey, once again, thanks to everybody who braved the elements to come down and see us tonight. I'm going to get Michael's final thought, and I'm going to give him time to think up a really good one because he loves doing final thoughts. Here your aspirin.
Can't believe you wanted me to have this whole bottle.
Well, just, actually the whole bottle. Might have improved your mood. Come up with a final thought while I thank Delano's Pizza, downtown Minneapolis. Been here 60 years. Twill in the Edina Galleria. Fixology Repair, 3rd floor of the Mall of America, and downtown in the Skyway. Tony Hoaglund, your State Farm agent in Champlin. And once again, SodaStick.com sponsors the basketball show in our program with John Krasinski. If you use the promo code YouBetcha, you will get free delivery. And they do a lot of hockey-related stuff, including old North Star type stuff. Final thought, Michael. And our next live show is the 18th at 6 o'clock, correct?
I don't know. You're the boss. Let me go on my little calendar here. 18th.
18th at 6 o'clock.
6 p.m. It's a Monday.
Let's hope the weather's better.
Right before they play Anaheim the day before. Play St. Louis. No, they play St. Louis the day before, Anaheim the day after. Then we go back to New York for the third time in 2 weeks. Great schedule. I don't really have a final thought. Hey, Europe. You should come to Europe with Vicky, me, and Clyde. That'll be fun.
Sounds like a great time.
DefineDestinations.com. DefineDestinations.com.
Honestly, Venmo me $50,000. I'll consider it.
There is no more fun experience than hanging out with Anthony LaPanta and me and watching us absolutely. I mean, he could make my head explode one day. There's a chance. Talk about somebody that gives me a headache and that I need to walk around with aspirin, as you guys can attest. So we're going to Munich, Austria, Switzerland next year. DefineDestinations.com. It's actually a much more affordable trip than even last year's trip to Italy, just because the prices to that part of the world in the summertime are easier, and it's going to be awesome. Poor Anthony LaPanta's youngest daughter, 2 car accidents in like a week.
No.
Yeah, just brutal. So
she was listening to him on the radio, wasn't she?
Yeah. This one,
that would be
the other one. The
ultimate
last one the
case of
other day, she didn't
driving.
make it. The other, well, she wasn't at fault for either. And the other one, the other day, she's like leaving her house to go to high school, and is at the end of her block at 7 a.m. and somebody hit black ice and just T-boned right into her. She had to call her parents at 7 a.m. After being in one like a week and a half before.
Oh.
So, and they just got in the rental car the day before. Just imagine that. We should ask Tony Hoaglund how you would deal with that one. Can you imagine? That has to be an insurance company's dream and nightmare all at the same time. It's
I will say that one time I was actually covering a Hall of Fame. I think it was Paul Molitor in the Hall of Fame, and I was going to drive from Cooperstown to New York for a Twin Series, I think. And I'm driving in these, mountainous back roads in upstate New York, and I hit a deer with my rental car.
Wow.
And I thought it was going to be okay, now I got to deal with insurance. Now I got to deal with my company. I got to deal with Hertz or whoever it is. I deal. Mm-hmm. It was amazing how easy it was.
Well, that one you were on the Star Tribune's insurance, right? When I got into a car accident in Beverly Hills a couple years ago, it was like the first time I met Margot LaPanta, Anthony, Steve LaPanta, his wife Mary, and Chad Graff in my I think minivan or something, and some woman hit me in Beverly Hills, and same thing. It was a pain in the ass reporting it all.
Yeah.
But never heard again about it. It was like the Star Tribune insurance company. I think it's a little harder when it's your personal unless
insurance. You have Tony Hoaglund.
Yeah, unless you have Tony
will
Hoaglund,
take care of it for you.
who's been awesome. That one was that one was an unbelievable. This is how I'll leave you on this. So we get into this car accident in Beverly Hills. This is after I say, hey, we should all go sightseeing. And then so we get hit, and I look in my rearview mirror to pull over to the side of the road, and I look at Chad Graff. I see Chad's face in my rearview mirror, and he's on his phone watching the Oklahoma football game. And then part of me for 1 minute goes, maybe I'm envisioning this. Maybe we weren't in a car accident because Chad hasn't even looked up. But then I looked at Margot, and it was very clear we were in a car accident. I think I've told this story before. This is how I'll end it. So we pull over to the side of the road, and the cop comes from the Beverly Hills Police Department. And Chad, Steve, LaPanta, and Anthony decide to go to a gas station to go buy food or something. And Margot, who, again, I think this is honestly might have been my first time ever meeting her. She's in my passenger seat, and I'm like, oh, this is so nice that she is staying with me right now. This is a very traumatic experience. I've never been in an accident like this. I'm worried about Star Tribune insurance and all this stuff. And so I'm dealing with the cops, so I come back and talk to her, and the cops realizes that it's the other woman's fault. And I talk to Margot, and she goes, hey, I can't get out of the car. She was trapped in the car while I was I'm like, this is the nicest woman ever. She's staying with me during this
It's like the story of all Russo's relationships.
She was stuck.
If the door's not locked, it's not going to work.
So for the rest of this trip, she had to, every time she was in the passenger side of my door, she had to climb over the controls to get out. Then we get back, and I'm a little floundered that these guys come back with food, and they get in, and I'm a little pissed off. I'm like, this is
can't you just see it? You get in a big accident, and LaPanta goes, I need chips. I'm going to go find chips.
So I hit drive, and now we're like clugging along the highway of Beverly Hills in a minivan, going to go because I wanted to bring him to like Nate and Al's, and all of a sudden, hand comes up in between the console between Margot and me, and it's Steve LaPancha and goes, prosciutto? And I turn to him, I'm like, I don't want prosciutto right now, especially gas station prosciutto. Best final thought ever, right?
The LaPanchas would go to the gas station, buy prosciutto to get you through the car accident.
Yeah. This cannot be the first time I've told this story.
This is the first time.
Right? No, yeah, Brandon's heard it.
Really?
Oh, okay. I told her LaPanta. Okay.
It's the first time you've told me.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't listen to the show.
Yeah. See, this. Can you again imagine being Brandon?
Poor bastard.
How many like total podcasts have you had to listen to on the?
Well, he's listened to zero.
Yeah. It's got to be close to like. I mean, we're at what? 200? Yeah, near 200. We should have a big party. And then
we should.
And then there's been
we should like go to a bar.
You have the Krasinski show, the Cheryl Reeves show, the what else?
Roy Smalley, Tim Yoder.
So imagine these. I mean, it's got to be 1,000 podcasts that he's listened to, and he knew that I told that story. Isn't that amazing?
Saying all Brandon's right. It's sad.
Yeah, it is sad.
But that was your best final thought ever. Congratulations.
Yep. I think 64-minute podcast is
That's enough.
Perfect. Yep. See ya.
Thanks for coming down, everybody. We appreciate it. February 18th, 6 o'clock. It's a Monday night. Come on down and let's hear Russo dredge up some more awful memories. Give Michael a round of applause, please.
Pretty little city built on a hillside. Music in the bars and fire in the sky. We went to the beach and it was covered in ice. And I used to call it home. So much coming out, there's nothing going in. I know that you feel like you're never gonna win. Oh, but the world won't forgive a winner.
Like we all know, I'm not a winner.